Welcome back to Band of Souls. I hope you're having a wonderful day. So I want to show you a few things. We are here in Talak, and this trick works for St. Anne as well. When you come in, instead of having to run all the way down the dock, one of our viewers actually mentioned this, so I figured I'd show it because a lot of guys don't realize it. If you're on an Xbox or the PlayStation, hold that top right bumper button. It's going to automatically send you over to the smuggler's helm so you don't have to run around and all that mess. It's going to make things a heck of a lot quicker. Do what you need to do, and then you can always return to dock if you need to, or just fast travel. But we're also going to be going over a great build for you PvP players out there for the Brigantine. Now we're revisiting this thing, so obviously some of our stats have changed in our weaponry and even some of our shielding and stuff. So you're going to see a little bit different build here than what I typically run. So let's return to our dock. We're going to change our ship out. So we originally did a video for the bark. I hope you enjoyed that. If you've not had a chance to try out that build, definitely go into that video, give it a look, see if it's for you. Has that status heal, which is going to heal the guys in your team when you're in PvP, as long as everybody's in PvP mode. You're not going to be healing everyone in the water like you do in PvP. Or I'm sorry, in PvE. Okay, so we are here in our bark now. So weaponry, weapons, when it comes down to it, that's dealer's choice, along with some of the furniture that comes with it. I know a lot of guys like using long nines or the double winch ballista, and those are great options if you can hit with them. But I'm showing you things that are going to work for you if maybe you can't quite hit those guys. So on the front, we put our current odds on here. Great weapon. Is going to help with that flooding effect. It's called Riptide. Adds 50% damage, sphere damage when target is flooded, and as flooding one adds 10% of damage as flooding damage. Really good thing to have on here. Then on our sides, we went ahead and put the flooding demis on here. So flooding is going to be a big key when it comes to PvP. Now I'm noticing not a lot of people are using actual flooding damage on their stuff, and you really mess it up if you don't. But this is going to add another 20% of damage as flood damage. So you're going to be able to compound that again on the other side. The same weapons, the flooding demi cannons. Now on the back, I want to do something different. We have done mortars in the past, but I wanted to get something that was going to be setting up just a little bit different type of a scenario for us. So I did the tearing culverins. That's if you're being chased. Not many people chase a brigantine, but if they do, these will reach out 600 meters pretty easily, guys. Now you can bolster that, get another 10% if you want to, but this is going to help rip those sails, increase damage by 50% by hitting sails. So really great little option to have on there. And then of course we went with the LaFleur because this is our PvP setup. This is going to do a great job to knock their stamina out, but also it's going to break their bracing shield, so you're going to do more damage as you hit. One of the great things about it is when you're looking at effects such as the flooding demi cannon, that flooding damage, unless they're sporting a proper shield to prevent it, it's going to really compound on there. You get those ships that like to turn straight into you. That's why I put the Riptide effect on the front. Now when you're shooting at a PvP ship, the weakest point is directly in the bow. Something to keep in mind when you're fighting. Now when it comes to the armor, we went ahead with the Wrathful Ward because occasionally you get those guys that want to come in and ram you. That seems to be the big thing in PvP, is the ramming aspect, especially for us brigantine runners out there. So this Wrathful Ward, that's going to zap their stamina, reduce their brace, then you're going to be able to pop them with those demi flooding cannons, and that will slow them down even more because they take on that flooding damage massively. Then when it comes to our furniture, so we're running the water tank on here. This is going to reduce crew stamina depletion by 50%, while bracing increases stamina recovery by 20%. Really nice little thing on there. You don't have to use it. You could actually opt to put something in there like the scrapper station for up close running and all. And we may change that over, but for right now, this seems to be working pretty nicely for us. The iron cladding station increases the damage from ramming by 25%. That's going to compound with the original 45% of this ship. This used to only add 15 back in the day. Now we're getting a total of, let's see here, 45 and 25. It's going to be 70% ramming damage, which is also going to increase the flooding damage that's happening on that ship. So this is a flood build to cause those PvP ships to flood out. course, you need that Lapontent schematic on here. It's going to increase damage to weak points to enemy ships by 10%. It also reveals it on the Fleet of Pestilence. It is revealing the weakest points on a PvP ship, so that's something you need to keep in mind. With just because you see the big glowing crate or the big glowing emblem on the back, that doesn't necessarily make it the weakest spot. The weakest spot's going to be in the bow. It almost looks like a red rope is designed and laid around it. It doesn't glow as prominent as the other areas, but it's where you're going to get your best damage. And of course, the Maintenance Forge restores 1% severe damage per second while out of combat. That's just if you do get sunk on your way back in, you're not sitting there with a half damaged ship. And when it comes to adding stuff to the weapons and all, we added the increased elemental damage multiplier of the Demi cannons by 19%. Again, that's because it's going to do that flooding. So really nice little app or piece to have on here. Of course, when it comes to ship cosmetics, everyone has their personal preferences and stuff, and I'm going to start kind of grinding out some new sales. I think it's an okay setup. So one of the things I like to do is I like to, when you're in a PvP situation, you want to make them uncomfortable, make them kind of irritated, make them lose, where they're not focusing so much on what they need to do because they're getting aggravated. So that's one of the reasons why I put this figurehead on here. If you're wondering what it is called, it's called Cold Comfort, and she makes that every time you turn into the wind or you give it speed, it'll blow. And they might think, hey man, Godin's coming or something. At the very least, it's going to annoy the heck out of them while they're on the ship, man, in battle. But that's what I've got right now. I hope you've enjoyed the build video. I hope that little tip about being able to jump straight over to the Helm Smuggler's Den area is going to help you. I know for me, I got tired of running around. It was nice because we can now just leave everything in the warehouse, go straight do that sale, and access a warehouse. We've covered that in another video as well. We could show you that again, I guess, when you come into any situation of wanting to sell to these lead kingpin, which would be Sturlock or Rema. We used to have to run down to the warehouse, carry as much as we could, then come in and sell. We don't have to do that. Any of your NPC merchants, that's anyone who buy or sell. If you can sell to them, you're going to be able to access that warehouse stock now from the menu without having to move everything. Now I know when you were doing crafters, it would automatically read into the warehouse. This is just a little bit different than that. We'll get her to run through her lines real quick. Okay, so when we go into sale, you're going to see stuff that you have for sale, but you want to rotate the cycle inventory. So for Xbox, it's Y. For PlayStation, it'll be triangle. For you on PC, it's whatever you have it set as. That brings up all of your warehouse stocks that you can sell. You're going to find all sorts of stuff, and you can look when you're at a vendor now without carrying all that garbage on your ship when you're running to sell your paintings and stuff as well. Everything's just at a click of a button, which is really great to have that. So here we have the Blue Lotus Opium. I do convert that to the black, so I'm not worried about selling that at the moment, but we could access all of our wares. But I hope you've enjoyed the video, folks. Again, if you've not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to release as many helpful tips as we can. And stay tuned here at the end. We're going to have you a little clip of this thing in PvP. Alright guys, so the true test of any ship is to go against the strongest tank build that you can find. And right now we have Deadpool. He's using his tank design to put in here. And just going to see what we can do. I think we can get him down, but when you start running that 33% of whole health, that rigging station is going to really start to do a pretty good job of getting some of this damage he's throwing in. So don't be surprised to start to see it's taking some damage at the beginning where it's going to really shine when you get at that 33% whole health here. Now, when you get someone down that low in PvP, you can come up alongside them. If they are using those short range demis, man, you got to be careful doing that because they can smoke you pretty quick. So we're going to do some weapon test builds here. But like I say, right now, he's not bracing. He's not doing any kind of health or anything like that other than with the base stats of the ship. And as you can see, if you protect that front, that weak spot we talked about, not going to do a whole lot of damage. Every now and then I get cut in on him and do some damage to the front of that ship. There's the bow where you have to use this part of the ship. So always protect, always defend.
I want to thank everyone who stopped to watch. If you subscribed, awesome. If you haven't, if you could do that now, hit that notification bell. That's going to help us out on this end. It's going to keep you up to date on the best builds that we can come up with here to make your sailing pleasures that much more enjoyable, everyone. But have a wonderful evening. We will see you in game.